Okay, hey guys, what's up? Divine Sorcerer here with you. Mike, as you guys know, first time here in a while on Facebook. We're going to do this on Facebook instead of YouTube today. But everybody knows that I started in paranormal investigating, hence the Spread Paranormal on my page. Became a pastor, got into the Christianity, went from Christianity to Jewish writings, learned the Jewish language. Why am I talking about all this? Because I want to talk about this. The book of the Key of Solomon, the King. I did a video the other day. Let's turn that off because that's annoying. There we go. I did a video the other day explaining about astrology and how it relates to our body. And I was asked on a YouTube video to go a little bit more in depth. Now, we have a couple people in the Brotherhood, like the Workable Witchery Workshop. Brian knows a lot about this as well. He speaks on this on the Academy of Sorcery page. And we also have another brother. I'll leave links to their pages in the comments and stuff. Shawn Vandevenne. Another good place to go and if you're into tarot or the astrology that I'm getting ready to talk about, that is another good channel to watch. Sister Chrissy, hey, what's up? So, as I was talking the other night about astrology, I was talking about when you know the certain times, according to the certain position of the planets, you can use them in your magic rituals, in your... Good to see you too, sister. It's been a while since I've been on Facebook, but we're going to do this on Facebook instead of YouTube. Kind of bored with YouTube. But anyway, the astrology part has a lot to do with your body. The right positioning of which planet according to which astrology symbol, to the house, straight down to what mixture you make your ink in for your sigil. Like, I mean, you can get very deep with this stuff, guys. Hence the Divine Sorcerer. Like, I'm a big King Solomon fan, and this is some of the knowledge that King Solomon knew. And as I went through my journey and I learned it, it was very fascinating. So I want to help those that keep messaging me and be like, "Hey, can you explain more in detail?" Grab some cookies and some milk, or a soda and some chips, or whatever your deal is, because we're going to be here for a minute, but we're going to learn. First thing we're going to go over is, let's see here. We're going to go with the planets. Let's do the planets first. Let's look at the sun. Now, the sun governs the general flow of energy throughout the body. I was talking about this the other night, and I didn't have anything together, so I went and did that earlier. And now the sun governs the general flow of energy through the body, as well as around it. Etheric, euphoric, energetic bodies that are our energy, but extend far beyond our physical bodies. The sun is an equal partner in heart function, circulation, vitality, and overall healing. Now that's good to know, because where is the sun positioned? Like, what house is it in? Like, these are all important things to kind of understand. It goes a lot with the natural law, that hermeneutics that I teach. But let's keep going on before I get off track. Let's go to the moon. So the moon governs the fluid of the body. In the same way that the moon influences the tides according to her orbit around the Earth, the moon similarly affects the fluids in our bodies: the water retention, the blood flow, the digestive motion, and cellular moisture. All respond to moon energy. And a lot of people that, their deity is Luna, the moon, they know this stuff, just like the tides on Earth. You got high tides and low tides. The same thing with our body and the chemicals in our body. So as we go further in on this, let's look at Mercury. Mercury governs mental functions and will equally influence both hemispheres of the human brain. It promotes clarity and intellect, creativity thought, as well as strategic calculations of the brain. Mercury also rules automatic body functions, meaning breathing, blinking, etc., and works with the moon in digestive functions as well. Now, think about that, because that's, as you're going to find as we go through this, everything works in synchronicity. It when you put it all together, yes, it's many chemicals. It takes a lot to get together. Find that in alchemy. But when you get it all together to the perfect recipe, your spell, your incantation, your summoning is perfect, and you see perfect results. Let's go to Venus. Venus is a very sensual, tactical planet. So it makes sense it will govern sensory organs. Venus plays her hand in pleasurable aspects of nourishment, in that the planet rules taste, tongue, swallowing, the mouth, saliva. Sensory perception of touch is influenced by Venus and her relationship with the dermis and epidermis, meaning the skin. Venus also assists with the regulation of sweetness in the body, regulation of insulin, balance of sugars and carbohydrates in the body. Let's look at Mars. Mars, as it is the red planet, right, guys? We know that. Well, it'll be easier to remember Mars' influence on our red blood cells and natural oxidization in the body. Mars is also an assertive planet. It is connected to the procreative aspects of the body, such as the function of sexual organs and such. So that's Jupiter. That's Mars. Next, we'll do Jupiter. Hope this is more in depth for you guys that want more in depth. Jupiter is an expansive planet, so it takes sense that Jupiter governs physical growth of the body. Jupiter also assists in elimination of influences, excretion, and clearing out of toxins. This is evident in Jupiter's rulership of the liver and kidneys. On the whole, Jupiter has protective energy and works to facilitate growth while inhabiting obstructions. So Jupiter is like both yin and yang, up and down. Let's look at Saturn. Saturn, this is the planet of control and structures. So it is logical Saturn would influence our own structures, meaning Saturn governs our bones. This planet influences the strength of our most basic inner stability in our skeletal system. It plays a part in bone density, distribution of calcium, and other fortifying vitamins. Saturn is also present in cartilage, teeth, nails, etc. Let's look next at Uranus. Uranus governs the nervous system, both on an individual scale and on a societal scale. Uranus also plays a role in respiratory function. Bronchial tubes, lungs, diaphragm, cilia, trachea are all affected by the influence of Uranus. Consequently, Uranus energy can be utilized to assist with soothing breathing malfunctions such as bronchitis, emphysema, asthma. Next, we have Neptune. Neptune. This planet assists in the function of most glands, particularly endocrine glands, which play a role in the secretion of hormones. Endocrine glands include the thyroid, the pituitary, and the adrenals, all of which are considered to possess high mystical properties according to the esoteric schools of thought. Neptune also lends a helping hand with the lymphatic system as well. And then last, we have Pluto. Now, Pluto, this planet, or not, a debate, So whether Pluto is a planet or not still continues, but I'm including it anyway, for it is symbolic important. Has powers of renewal, so it makes sense Pluto influences the body's ability to rejuvenate, regenerate, and heal. Pluto plays a role in healing by governing the various functions within the immune system. It governs consistent birth and death on a cellular level too. Pluto is also connected to the body's reproductive system. Alrighty. And so there you have the planets, all right, and how they pertain to certain aspects of our body. Now that's some very powerful information. Even King Solomon knew this. All right, this is a practice that they were practicing back in that day. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought it to you from the book. I'm also using this book as well from Brother Brian Lovering. Great book. But when you understand the planets and their positions and the houses of astrology and even astrology itself, you start to understand that you can keep yourself in good health and you can keep yourself in good fortune and you can wield, it's magic. You can do it. Like David Copperfield, David Blaine, they all understand the concepts of natural law, all 7 hermetic principles. They all understand, I guarantee, astrology, biochemistry. They understand it. So let's look next. We're going to look at, we just did what? Planets, right? All right, so let's look next at signs, the astrological symbols, and what they do according to the body. Okay, so let's look at Aries, since Aries is the first symbol. Aries is the first sign. It rules the head, the eyes, the base, the brain, the adrenal and suprarenal glands, and the pineal gland, or considered third eye, tucked deep inside the brain. Aries navigates the particular susceptible to bumps on the head and headaches. Relaxing head massages can reduce tension and stress. So anything that's involved in your head, like your eyes, your face, your brain, the insides of your head, all the way into the deepest depths, which is the third eye, Aries rules that. Let's look at Taurus, all right? Taurus, the neck, ears, mouth, teeth, and vocal cords fall under Taurus, taurines, like the bulls, the taurs. Taurus field, like the bulls that represent them, often have sturdy, thick necks and malicious voices, but might be prone to sore throats and neck strains. So Taurus rules your neck. Anything that has to do from your lower jawline to your shoulder bone, your neck part. Now Gemini. Gemini is the sign of the twins. And the twins rule over the upper body, including your shoulders, your nervous system, your airways, your lungs, your arms, your hands, anything that has two. Gemini navigates can be jumpy and restless and must guard against nervousness. So that's a trait in Gemini. But basically it rules over anything that you have two of, like your upper body, two lungs, your hands, your eyes, stuff like that. Let's go to Cancer. Cancer, the crabs, are connected to the eternal mother and rule of the breasts, the alimentary canal, the stomach, and the upper liver. Intuitive, emotional. Cancers are susceptible to the moon's energy and can cycle quickly through rapid emotions. So Cancer pretty much controls, your stomach, your upper part there. Leo. Leo is generous. Leo governs the heart, the spinal cord, and the back. Big-hearted lions are prone to cardiovascular conditions and back pain, especially with overexertion. You want to be active and on the move, but don't forget to listen to your body. Leo. All right? heart, spinal cord, and back. Virgo. With rulership of the pancreas and the intestines, Virgos are often inclined to go with their gut when it comes to making snap decisions. They can be quite picky about food and follow trendy weight loss diets. They should be mindful of dietary restrictions and ward off the tendency to develop type 2 diabetes. So Virgo is pretty much with your gut and your intestines, that part of your body. Libra, the scales rule over the kidneys and, not unsurprisingly, the equilibrium. The kidneys filter waste from the body, and that's the role of many Libras, eliminating negative energy to promote beauty and positivity. Libra's fondness for anti-aging creams and facial lotions can help them remain youthful for longer than many other sun signs. So again, Libra is your equilibrium, your kidney, your mid-waist body. Scorpio. Scorpio is the genitals. The sex organs are ruled by Scorpio, as is the blood. This is why Scorpios often get a bad rap for being sexually promiscuous. This intuitive sign is known for its ability to transform and regenerate over and over throughout the courses of a lifetime. Scorpio has rules over the nose and organs and sense of pheromones involved in the mysterious of attraction. So organs, pheromones, nose. Sagittarius is the sign that rules over sciatic nerve, hips, thighs, and lower liver. The energetic archer loves to take off on exploratory jaunts, but should be wary of sports injuries that can limit these happy rovers. Make sure to engage a lower body stretching before heading out to your beloved nature. And limit sugary drinks and alcohol, which can be hard on the liver, because Sagittarians work with the nerve, the hip, the thighs, and the lower liver. Next, we have Capricorn. The sea goat has rulership over the skin, the teeth, the knees, and the skeletal system. Capricorns typically love hierarchical organizations, which correspond with their association to the bony framework that protects the vulnerable visceral organs. They must take care to avoid fractures and knee injuries. Getting enough calcium will be important for this sign as well. So Capricorn is the skin, the teeth, the knee, and the teeth, the knees, and the skeletal system. Aquarius, which is what I am, the water bearer, presides over the body's joints, circulatory system, calves, and ankles. They risk injury to their lower extremities due to overusage. The Achilles tendon is particularly vulnerable to injury, so make sure you to properly warm up before dancing and exercising, because we know we Aquarians love to dance in a full moon when we do our summonings. Glucosamines, turmeric, and fish oil supplements can keep your joints well lubricated, Aquarians. And our last one is Pisces. Closing out the zodiac, the fish rules the feet. Pisceans should always try to wear supportive shoes, as wearing improperly fitted footwear can cause them to develop painful bunions and calluses. Pisces also govern body fat and the lymphatic system, especially as they age. Pisces may need to guard against obesity, which can limit their mobility. So, and that's what the astrology part has to do with our body. Each astrology symbol has to do with each part of our body. And when you know that, that's powerful when used in your that's powerful when used in your magical practice, especially if you're doing healing spells, or you're working with certain members, brothers, sisters, people of the community, and you're working with pendulums that you're putting healing spells into or whatnot. This all matters. What time of the day you do it, to what god you represent it, to what incense you burn, straight down to the sigil that you use and the ink that you use to draw. Like this, it gets precise. But when you do it, you understand that you just did magic. It's a great feeling to know. This is all knowledge nobody wants you to know. This is, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, they all knew it. Pythagoras, Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth. They all knew this. They all knew how to maintain their body, the chemicals in their body, according to the moon, the sun, the stars. So let's go on. We're gonna look, since we went through the planets and we went through the astrology signs. What is next? Let's look at the houses that surround the like if you're looking at a birth chart or a natal chart, astrological natal chart. You want to know what the houses are and how they go. You want to get really familiar with that. Let's see. I don't know if I have. All right, here we go. So, the table of nations ruling planets to each house. All right, as you can see there in the chart, there's the planets and there are the astrological symbols. So, the 12 houses of astrology are arranged on a circle-shaped chart or wheel, much like this. A wheel kind of like that, and on the outer limits are your houses. All right. So don't confuse the wheelhouses with the zodiac wheel. They are two different wheels, guys. The zodiac wheel is based on the sun's apparent yearly rotation about the earth along the ecliptic, where the wheel of houses is based on Earth's 24-hour rotation about its own axis. The two wheels join together at points derived by calculations involving your exact birth time and astronomical birth coordinates. And that's what I just showed you right here. Okay, this is a birth chart. So then the planets are described in two ways, as being a zodiac sign and also as being a house. So, for example, may both have a Libra sun sign and one may have a Libra sun in his 12th house, while another may have his Libra sun in his first house. This could make for two very different type of people. So, another reason why the popular horoscopes are, like your daily sun, your quick apps and stuff, like you get your popular daily sun sign horoscopes, they're a bunch of silliness. They are written assuming everyone has their sun in the first house, which isn't really correct. But the 12 houses of astrology are symbolic. Okay, a lot of people knew this back in our ancestors' days. The departments that make up human life, the planets and the zodiac signs, will manifest themselves most strongly in the sphere of life, represented by the house in which they fall. Oh, I am here. Okay. All right, so we have to remember that the houses are not energies like the elements of the planets. I had a hard time with that as well when I first started to learn. Nor do they color the expression of energies like the zodiac signs do. The houses are where these energies are most likely to manifest. The houses are the fields of experience, not the experience themselves. Notice how the order of the houses follows the developmental path of a human's life, from the original impulse of the individual's being, like in the first house, to learn what is mine and how to use what one owns. The second house is to learn how to communicate within the limitations set by our environment. The third house, etc. The following description of the houses is short and typical. I'm going to read them off to you. Most important houses are the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th houses. These are called the angular houses because their corps coincide, or their cusps coincide with the four special angles: ascendant IC, descendant, and MC planets. Are angular houses will influence you the most. Okay, so the first house is a house of self, you, pertaining to you. This includes self-awareness, the physical body, personality, appearance, personal vows on life, self-identity, self-image, early environment, the beginnings, how we initiate, how we're impulsive. Any planets in this house will greatly influence your personality and how others perceive you. The second house refers to your own money and possessions, what you value, your hidden talents, sense of self-worth, self-esteem, how you value yourself instead of describing your personality as in the first house. Possessions include anything a person owns, except the house, the home, which is ruled by fourth house. Cars, furniture, clothing, movable property, investments and securities, etc. The second house specifies how you gain and spend your own money, as opposed to others' money in the eighth house. Your attitude towards wealth and material possessions and your potential for accumulating it or them. Okay, that's the second house. It's the third house. The third house is that of communication, which by extension includes one's immediate environment, meaning your siblings, your neighbors, your short journeys, and all forms of transportation. The third house also includes the intellect, the lower mind, details and small bits of information, as opposed to the higher mind in the ninth house. Thinking patterns in early education, like before college. Communication includes messages, deliveries, gossip, phone calls, visits, readings, and writing. The fourth house. The fourth astrological house refers to the home and everything associated with it, both the childhood home and the current home, family, land, personal foundations, inner and emotional security, your roots, your chakra. Astrologers are divided over whether this house is associated with one's mother or father. What is clear is that the person's upbringing is associated with this house. On a deeper level, the fourth house is the base of consciousness, or the center of our concrete existence. See how the cusp of the fourth house is the IC, the lowest point on the chart, representative of these things below the surface of the earth. Due to that, the fourth house was believed to rule the conditions at the end of life and graves, as the root or base of your real self. The fourth house rules where you go when you die, but also where you came from. For those who believe in reincarnation, the fourth house would give clues to your karmic lessons for this lifetime. It shows what karmatic baggage you brought with you into this life. Even if you don't believe in reincarnation, you're likely to be surprised by what you find in your fourth house, for it may move your soul. Any planets in the fourth house affect your home life, your emotions, your subconscious, and possibly your relationship with your parents. Thought I had a message. Okay. Now we're talking about the fifth house. There's 12 houses total. The fifth house refers to children, creativity, and the pursuit of pleasure. This includes personal interests, love affairs, sports, hobbies, speculation, risk-taking, teaching drama, creating self-expression, love-giving, gambling. The fifth house is all about you being yourself and enjoying it. Romance, dating, love affairs, and sexual relationships are ruled by this fifth house. Yet marriage is assigned to the seventh. Why? Because until very recently, marriage was not entered into it for pleasure, for love, nor for personal fulfillment. Marriage was hardly even entered into by choice, but rather for the purpose of raising kids to perceive the values of a particular culture or religion. And these marriages were most often arranged according to the class and financial status, a partnership befitting the seventh house. Nowadays, it's common to marry for love. To avoid confusion, remember, affairs of the heart are in the fifth house, but corporate partnerships are in the domain of the seventh house. The sixth house. The sixth house refers to daily work, service, diet, health, and physical sickness, physical ability to work, employees. This includes volunteer labor, civil service work, caretaking, and mundane daily tasks. The sixth house really involves the quality of your work, the quality of the jobs you perform, as opposed to an actual career. Career is represented by the 10th house. Daily mundane tasks include personal hygiene and our method of responding to everyday crises. Now, as we talked about earlier, the seventh astrological house. The seventh house is sometimes referred to as the house of marriage, but it encompasses all one-to-one relationships, marriage, business, partnerships, contracts, cooperative relationships, and also divorce, separation, quarrels, open enemies, and lawsuits. The difference between the love affair of the fifth house and the love relationships of the seventh is that the seventh house refers to more permanently binding relationships, whereas the fifth house refers to affairs that may be temporary. When the fifth house affair progresses into a serious relationship, we can say that the relationship has moved into the seventh house. The seventh house relationships are about cooperation and sharing, and they generally serve some functional purpose on a larger social community scale, i.e., marriage. This is different from the fifth house, which is love affair, whose only qualification is butterflies in the stomach. The seventh house includes the way you relate to those closest to you. Planets in this house will influence your manner of relating. They also give clues to issues that arise in your relationships. The eighth house. Simply put, the eighth house is the polar opposite of the second house. Whereas the second rules your own individual possessions, the eighth house rules what his relationship owns, like joint finances. The eighth house is also one of the most misunderstood houses. It is probably because things represented by the eighth house seem to have nothing in common with each other, or they seem to be negative. The house governs death, regeneration, taxes, inheritance, wills and legacies, sex, and an actual act of sex. Latin occult ability, joint resources, your partner's money and possessions, spouse's money, bankruptcy losses, personal sacrifices, alimony, clairvoyance. On a positive note, this house is about transformation and healing. But transformation and healing requires some type of death, loss, or injury first. The house rules those processes and things by which we transform and become more powerful. Yes, this includes the act of sex. The ninth astrological house. The ninth house refers to philosophy, religion, law, learning, higher education, as opposed to early education by the third house. Ethics, morals, long journeys, travel, foreign countries and interests, spiritual urges, dreams, visions, higher mind, ideas, understanding and wisdom, books, publishing, ceremonies, and rituals. This is the house of the big thoughts and big ideas. Ninth house, understanding, is more complex than the third house, which is knowledge. The act of knowing belongs to the third house because it implies simply the direct contact of a person with something in his environment. Understanding involves the synthesis of the known data. While the third house refers to an individual's need to understand his close and personal environment, the ninth house is an area in which one seeks to discover the significance of larger fields of social existence, which one may not experience directly, but with his mind may explore through the use of analogy, generalization, and abstraction. The third and ninth houses symbolize two polarities of the human mind, the concrete and the abstract. In summary, the ninth house includes experiences that we encounter when we search for the meaning of things, whether it expands your field of activity or the scope of your mind, long journeys, contact with other cultures, great dreams, and even experiences with fortune tellers. The 10th astrological house. And if you're messaging me, brothers and sisters, you can't see it. But I will respond as soon as I'm done here. The 10th house is the house of status, honor, community power, prestige, reputation, and professional career. In our society, this includes financial success, but only as it relates to community power and prestige. It's not about gaining material stuff as it is in the second house. The 10th house wants success for the sake of honor and social status. This house includes social foundations, as opposed to personal home foundations in the fourth. Wants recognition, personal achievements, social responsibilities, sense of duty, authority figures, politicians. This house encompasses the most public areas of one's life and the career that you grow into. It opposes the daily work and odd jobs ruled by the sixth house. As with the fourth house, astrologers are divided over whether the 10th house rules one's mother or father. Those that say the fourth house rules the mother say the 10th house rules the father, and vice versa. What is clear is that the fourth house rules the nurturing, homebody parent, while the 10th house rules the public, success-focused parent, the parent who wears the pants, per se. As with other agatory houses, any planets in this house are very important. Planets in the 10th house, the sign of the cusp of the 10th house, and its ruling planet will greatly influence your career and your general reputation in public. The 11th astrological house. The 11th house is the house of community, large groups, and friends. It refers to memberships, hopes, goals, ambitions, wishes, social groups, associations, humanitarian interests. It also refers to self-realization, liberty, legislation, and regulation. The 12th and last house. This is probably the most misunderstood house of all. The 12th house refers to the subconscious, the hidden self that exists apart from our physical everyday reality. This includes the unconscious mind, subconscious memory, subconscious habit patterns from the past, mental illness, karmic debts, self-deception, escapism, spiritual realization, limitations, frustration, and ultimately our self-undoing. On a physical material level, the 12th house includes things that take us away from everyday life. Institutions such as hospitals, prisons, governments, officials, places of confinement, secret relationships, hidden enemies, and self-sacrifice for others. It also refers to sorrow, tribulation, widowhood, grief, funerals, exile, seclusion, bribery, subversion, murder, suicide, kidnapping, and endings. For those who believe the 12th house is considered to refer the collective unconsciousness of all humanity, maybe. Maybe. Each planet and zodiac sign is naturally associated with a house, and that house is most corresponds to its archetype. So when you're looking at that, you also have to take into effect the hours. Let's look at the hours, because like I said, it's the positioning of the planets to where you are on Earth matters, straight down to what time you're in, like what time of the day it is and what time that planet is. Like, it all has to line up. And I'll show you here. King Solomon knew that. So let's go back here. In working magic, certain days are better than others, depending on what is being sought. In addition to working magic on the appropriate day, some witches like to start the ritual on the actual planetary hour. In other words, if they are working love magic, they would start the ritual not only on a Friday, but also in the hour of Venus, the goddess of love. To determine the hour of Venus or any other particular planet, it is necessary to first know the local times and sunrise and sunset. These times vary across the country and throughout the year. So you actually literally have to correlate it to where you are on said planet, to what time. Like, it gets that deep, guys. You want to know magic, you want to know sorcery, you want to know witchcraft. This is how you pay attention, and this is how you do it. Okay? So these times vary across the country throughout the year. So you're going to have to correlate it, like I said. Oh, and actually, a lot of it's already done by Brother Brian in the Grimoire of the Arts. So if you're not in the Brotherhood of the Witches and you're a witch or sorcerer or wizard, druid, shaman, let me know. Just shoot me a message. Say, hey, I'd like to get into the Brotherhood, and I'll pass it on to the brothers. And if so, you can get into. But this is a must learn. You gotta know, because each god had an hour. So, as an example, in a specific location at the time of the year that the magical ritual needs to be done, sunrise comes at 6:25 a.m. and sunset at 8:20 p.m. That means there are more hours of daylight than of darkness. Divide the daily hours into 12 parts and do the same with the nightmare hours or nighttime hours. With a total of 835 minutes of daylight, 6:25 a.m. till 8:20 p.m., the 605 minutes of darkness, 8:20 p.m. till 6:25 a.m., dividing each into 12 parts, not hours, parts. You have 12 69.58 minute daylight sections, 835 divided by 12, and 12 50.42 minute nighttime sections, 605 divided by 12. For the purpose of working with planetary hours, these 69.58 minute sections and 50.42 minute sections will be called hours, even though they are not regular 60-minute hours. The first hour of daylight on a Friday is the planetary hour of Venus. On a Wednesday, the first hour would be the planetary hour of Mercury. The hour then follows through the 12 rules in order. Each daylight hour taking, in this case, is 69.58 minutes, and each nighttime hour taking 50.42 minutes. Different days of the year will then vary in the lengths of their hours according to the local times for the sunrise and the sunset. And the table you are looking at is the daytime planetary hours, which the hour shows marks on sunrise, and also the nighttime. Why is that important? Because I want to leave off reading you an excerpt from King Solomon. Because King Solomon also tells you the very same thing. So let's look at let's look at the key of King Solomon. All right, very important. You want to learn sorcery. You want to know magic. You want to, you want to know what our ancestors knew back then as far as witchery, or what they call witchcraft today. I'm about to show you, brothers and sisters. Check this out. All right. Introduction from Landwehr, MS 1230. The vertebral clavicle of Solomon, translated from the Hebrew into the Latin language by the Rabbi Abagaz. Let me get this right. Abaganazer. Abaganazer. Yeah, okay. That's about right. All right, real quick. Oh, my son, Rehoboam. Everybody knows who Rehoboam is, right? It's in the Bible. Okay. A lot of this is because Bible. So pay attention. It's in your Bible. Seeing that all sciences, there is none more useful than the knowledge of celestial movements, I have thought it in my duty, being at the point of death, to leave thee an inheritance more precious than all the riches which I have enjoyed, and in order that thou mayest understand how I have arrived at this degree of wisdom, it is necessary to tell thee that one day when I was meditating upon the power of the Supreme Being, the angel of the great God appeared before me as I was saying, "Oh, how wonderful are the works of God!" I suddenly beheld at the end of the thickly shaded vista of trees a light in the form of a blazing star, which said unto me with a voice of thunder, Solomon, Solomon, be not dismayed. The Lord is willing to satisfy thy desire by giving thee knowledge of whosoever thing is most pleasant unto thee. I order thee to ask of him whatsoever thou desirest. Whereupon, recovering from my surprise, I answered unto the angel, that according to the will of the Lord I only desired the gift of wisdom, and by that grace of God I obtained in addition the enjoyment of all the celestial treasures and the knowledge of all natural things. Okay? It is by this means, my son, that I possess all of the virtues and riches of which thou now seest me in the enjoyment, and in order that thou mayest be willing to be attentive to all which I am about to relate to thee, and that thou mayest retain with care all that I am about to tell thee. I assure thee that the graces of the great God will be familiar unto thee, and that the celestial and terrestrial creatures, yes, you heard me right, will be obedient unto thee. and a science which only works by the strength and power of natural things, natural law. Thank you, Thoth. All right. And by the pure angels which govern them, of which latter I will give thee the names in order, their exercises and particularly employments to which they are destined, together with the days over which they protectively preside, in order that thou mayest arrive at the accomplishment of all which thou wilt find in this my testament, in all which I promise thee success, provided by all thy words only tend to honor of God, who hath given me the power to rule not only over terrestrial, but also over celestial things, that is to say, over the angels, of whom I am able to dispose accordingly to my will, and to obtain from them very considerable services. Let me stop right there for a minute. What did King Solomon just tell you? My God, he told you he has dominion over the angels, of whom he's able to dispose according to his will. But I thought only God could will the angels, right? You've been lied to. Let's go. Firstly, it is necessary for thee to understand that God, having made all things, the All-Father, in order that they may be submitted unto him, hath wished to bring his works to perfection by making one which participates of the divine and of the terrestrial, that is to say, man, whose body is gross and terrestrial, while his soul is spiritual and celestial. Did you get that? The yin and the yang, right? As above, so below. All right. Unto whom he hath made subject the whole earth and its inhabitants, and hath given unto him means by which he may render the angels familiar. As I call those celestial creatures who are destined, some to regulate the motion of the stars, others to inhabit the elements, others to aid and direct men, and others again to sing continually the praises of the Lord. Thou mayest then, by the use of their seals and characters, we talked about this in characters, render them familiar unto thee, provided that thou abusest not this privilege by demanding from them things which are contrary to their nature. So I want to pause there. Don't do stupid stuff like, give hyssop to a god that you should be giving lavender to, or, giving tobacco to a god you should be giving cannabis to, or, you see my thing? Like, it's very important. The book, King Solomon, even tells you in his writings, you be very careful. All right. For accursed be he who will take the name of God in vain, and he will employ for evil purposes the knowledge and the good wherein he hath enriched us. I command thee, my son, to carefully engrave in thy memory all that I say unto thee, in order that it may never leave thee, if thou doest not intend to use for a good purpose the secrets which I here teach thee. I command thee rather to cast this testament into the fire. Let me pause there. That's another thing I try to teach people. They see sorcerer and they're like, man, you can mess somebody up. Again, a very important lesson, and Gandalf the Grey knew this. Just because you know destruction magic, just because you know chaos magic, just because you know the deep, dark arts, does not mean you have to use them nor practice them in an illegitimate way. You should know and both be recognized to white and dark, the yin and the yang. You should, just because you know it doesn't mean you need or have to use it. That'd be very important to understand. All right, let's get back to I command thee rather to cast testament into the fire than to abuse the power thou wilt have of constraining the spirits. For I warn thee that the beneficent angels, wearied and fatigued by thine illic demands, would to thy sorrow execute the commandments of God, as well as to that all such who with evil intent would abuse those secrets which he hath given and revealed unto me. Think not, however, O my son, that it would not be permitted thee to profit by a good fortune and happiness which the divine spirits can bring thee. On the contrary, it gives them great pleasure to render service to men for whom many of these spirits have great liking and affinity. Now, let me say this again, because they tell you, oh, you shouldn't play with spirits. You shouldn't. Necromancy is bad. And clairvoyancy and sternomancy, and it's all bad. Don't talk to spirits. What did King Solomon just tell his son? Let me say that again. It gives them great pleasure to render service to man, for whom many of these spirits have great liking and affinity. Yes, there are evil, demonic, ungodly creatures out there that will hurt you with no thought in mind. But just as King Solomon knew, a lot of them spirits, like the ones that I try to connect to and those that I find on my, paranormal investigations, they are not out to hurt you. Yes, they scare you because they move in a way that you do not understand. All right, God having disdained them for the preservation and guidance of those terrestrial things which are submitted to the power of man. This is King Solomon, guys. Okay? There are different kinds of spirits according to the things over which they preside. Some of them govern the imperial heaven, others the premium mobile, others the first and second crystalline, others the starry heaven. There are also spirits of the heaven of Saturn, which I call Saturnites. There are jovial, mortial, solar, Venerian, mercurial, and lunar spirits. There are also spirits in the elements as well as in the heavens. There are some in the fiery region, others in the air, others in the water, and others upon the earth, which can all render service to that man who shall have the good intention and fortune to understand their nature and to know how to attract them. Furthermore, I wish to make thee understand that God hath destined to each one of us a spirit which watches over us and takes care of our preservation. These are called genii, or genie, as they like to perverse it, who are elementary like us, and who are more ready to render service to those whose temperament is conformed to the element which these genie, inhabit. For example, shouldest thou be of a fiery temperament, that is to say, sanguine, thy genius would be fiery and submitted into the empire of Baal. Besides this, there are special times reserved for the invocation of these spirits. In the days and the hours when they have power and absolute empire, it is for this reason that thou wilt see in the following tablets to what planet, as to what angel, as to each day, and as to each hour is submitted, together with the colors which belong to them, the metals, the herbs, the plants, the aquatic, the aerial, and the terrestrial animals, and incense, which are proper to each of them, as also in the quarter of the universe they ask to be invoked. Neither are omitted the conjurations, the seals, the characters, and the divine letters which belong to them, by means in which they receive the power and sympathize with these spirits. Why is it important to know what planet is in what house with what astrological symbol? Because you can do necromancy, you can do cartomancy, sternomancy, you can work on your aura, you can improve your health and your body and your intention, get rid of all the negativity and bring in positivity and fortune. You can do all this, and you just need some sense. You don't need another man or rules or any of that goddamn shit out there. You just need common sense. It all starts with the first freaking hermetic principle, my brothers and sisters, which is mentalism. If this is not correct, your magic, your practice, your everything is not going to be Correct. And that is why I try to instill on my channel, The Divine Sorcerer, on YouTube. You can find it. The 7 Hermetic Principles of Natural Law. The divine nature. We are not a piece of property. We are a divine being. We were created from a divine entity. We are made of star stuff, guys. And the more people understand this, and the more people understand they do have a guardian angel. They have somebody that watches over them. You can converse with them. You can't now, probably because your pineal gland's all calcified. But once you learn to open your chakras and get your third eye open, get it flowing with milk and honey, you understand. It's real. I can get more in depth, guys. I'll be putting more out on my channel. So, you know, if you like what was taught here today, shoot over to YouTube, look up the Divine Sorcerer, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Till then, blessed be. May the gods bless you, and happy practicing. You know, before I get off here, I want to try and do this again. If you're into witchery, the Workable Witchery Workshop on YouTube. They also have it here on Facebook, the Workable Witchery Workshop with Brian Lovering. Great place to learn if you're into spells and incantations and you know, anything. Brian's there to help you. Good guy. And also there is Steve Vandevenne. Hope I said that right. This guy is also on YouTube. I'll leave the links. I'll be posting. I'll be posting a lot of their stuff. Very good with the astrological symbols, the times, the tarots. He is very good. Check him out. There's YouTube auditors, A1 auditors on my page. I have to upload your profiles and stuff. I will get to that, but check them out. There's You People. There's Wandering Hippie. There's Living Skies Transparency, San Joaquin, a whole bunch of them. Ufology community over on YouTube. Bruce Cesal, Mary Hall. There's a bunch of great channels on there, guys. Check out my channel list on my page, Divine Sorcerer. You'll see everybody I'm subbed to. Check them out. You can learn a lot of great information. But for now, I'm out. I'm going to find something to eat. Peace out.